What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. We're here on this Wednesday, already getting to a third video today, which means we have now posted as many videos today as we did all of yesterday, which if you guys have been part of the channel for a while now, you know that usually that would never happen. During a season, during the week, I only post 3 videos in one day. That I think that says something, right? Usually I'm always getting to that fourth, and a lot of the time I'm getting to a fifth. But the fact that I wasn't able to squeeze that out, like, that tells you where I am right now mentally a little bit. I'm not really sure what to say. I'm not really sure what to think. And I just need the team to go out there and start giving me something to hang my hat on here. Give me something to believe that things are going to get better in the near future. And they can't do that until Sunday. So, yeah, the yesterday, only posting the 3 videos, I feel like that does say something. I just don't know what to be injecting out there right now. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't really know what to be putting out there anymore. I talk about, I think this is happening because of this. I think that this might be the case because this prerequisite hasn't been fulfilled yet. And at a certain point, you just want it to start to turn so you can start to talk about how it's turning. You don't want to have to keep talking about over and over and over again how it doesn't work, and it doesn't work for the same reasons that it didn't work before, and it will continue to not work as we go forward. So I'm struggling a little bit coming up with what to say about the way things are going. We are going to get an injury report later today. I will be talking about that whenever it drops. We're going to get a practice report, which, I mean, it's Wednesday, but we're still going to learn stuff. And it seems like the one silver lining of that Bills game is we did get out of it without injuries. That's going to be somewhat of good news. But the team just needs to go out there and give us something a little bit more substantial to talk about. And that means making improvements and doing things better. But I did want to take this opportunity to talk about a Pro Football Focus article they released. I think this was last night. The lockdown report. And this is basically, do you guys remember the JSN video I made last week where I talked about him getting open at a high rate compared to the rest of the league? This is kind of the opposite. And by the way, I'm sorry the frame rate's still low. I'm aware of that. Sometimes it just decides it's going to act up and there's not much I can do to fix it. But basically, this does the same thing for cornerbacks, the best defenders in the NFL at preventing separation in coverage. So it's a look the other way. So they have the lockdown percentage, which is a metric focused on coverage, measuring how well a defender prevents a receiver from getting open. It excludes plays where the defender intentionally gives up space to protect the first down marker or limit yards after the catch. So once again, it's trying to get rid of the meaningless performances, right? It's trying to get rid of the garbage, and it's trying to get it down to a meaningful number that represents how the player performed. So the initial article, this is week 8, obviously, because week 8 just wrapped up a couple days ago, was that there were 2 Seahawks in the top 3 for week 8. Josh Joby was locked down 100% of the time, and Riq Woolen was locked down 94.74% of the time, which were among the league leaders. Trenton Simpson was the only other one in that territory, and he's a linebacker, so it's a little bit different there, I feel like. But point is, that's obviously pretty impressive, but it's just one game. I know some people are going to be looking at that and they're kind of confused, right? They're going to be like, wait, how did Riq Woolen have that lockdown percentage that high when he allowed 2 touchdowns? Well, on those touchdowns, those players were not really open, is the thing, right? Like, Keon Coleman was not open on that end zone shot on 3rd down to start the game. I think we can all agree on that, right? Like, he wasn't open, he just caught it. Woolen was right there, just got mossed. And same for somebody like Joby, when we saw the receiver that Joby was supposed to be covering running wide open all the time. There are situations where he's in zone and he's supposed to stay there and it looks like he got beat, but that doesn't necessarily mean he did anything wrong. They're saying that when they look at the specific subset of plays where they tried to stop them from getting open, they had a very high success rate. But this is just for week 8. Like, I don't know how much we're going to learn from one game sample size. So I'm happy to report that they do actually have the full 2024 season data for every player with at least 45 opportunities to lock down. And I thought we'd go ahead and take a look at this because the Seahawks are fairly well represented. And there are almost 100 names on this list, by the way, if you were wondering. 100 names, to be exact, it's 99. So it's a good sample of players, and it's a pretty good sample of opportunities. I do want to highlight this, and I don't have any issue with people beating up on Riq Woolen after he played a not very good game against the Bills. And there are things outside of coverage that he needs to do better, but through the first 8 weeks, Riq Woolen is top 5 in his lockdown percentage with almost 90 opportunities, a lockdown percentage of almost 61%. So out of 99 guys, Riq Woolen is top 5 in locking down. And you can see the guys ahead of him. You got Trent McDuffie, often considered to be one of the best corners in the league. Brian Branch, really good, really fun, exciting young safety. Benford, who's putting up ridiculously good performances in Buffalo this year. I know he's not a big name before this year necessarily, but that should be changing. And they got Joey Porter Jr. really high up here as well. So it's elite company to be part of. So if you're talking about Riq Woolen as an overall NFL player, there are clear problems. But as a cover player, he is legitimately elite. Everything we have indicates this. So sometimes people ask me, do you think we as Seahawks fans overrate all our players and they're actually not that good? And we need to have a reality check that somebody like a Riq Woolen is just average? I don't think that's the case. I think he's legitimately very good. In this area, at least. Now, he's not the only Seahawk on this list, of course. The next guy who comes up is actually Tre Brown, who, with 70 opportunities, has a 50% lockdown rate. And if you're wondering where that ranks, I actually listed it out in Notepad, 27th. So he is clearly above average, and he's even in that area where I'd go so far as to call him good. So I just want to point that out because a lot of people seem to think Tre Brown's some awful player. He's not. Like, I don't think that I don't think that he played his best when we really needed him to show up against the Giants in that one game, right? That was bad. And that one stings a lot because he was a big reason why we lost that game, probably the main reason. But this is a good player, and he's not having that bad of a season. He's had a couple bad moments, but this is a capable player who is still locking down in coverage overall. And he really hasn't been a huge liability tackling so far this year to my eye. Woolen's been much worse. So, yeah, Tre Brown, man. Tre Brown, good player. Now, you know who isn't looking like a very good player right now? And this, I think, is maybe a piece of evidence people could use to indicate that they are not being deceived by what they see with Devon Witherspoon either. This guy's been bad. He, on 90 opportunities to lock down, has a success rate of only less than 39%. And if you're wondering where that ranks, well, it ranks, let me pull up the number here. I just wrote this, I just put this in Notepad, 80th. 80th out of 99. So near the bottom. By the way, also near the bottom would be our old buddy Mike Jackson, so maybe we don't regret trading him. I'll let you guys interpret that one. But there are only a handful of players that are doing a worse job at this than him. So if you've been watching the games this year and you feel like Witherspoon's having a sophomore slump and you're wondering, is it real? I think the answer is yes. It's not just our imagination. He's having a little bit of a hard time right now. He's not making plays on the ball. This shows that he's not locking down at a high percentage. The tackling's been really bad. And this is a thing. This is a real thing that is happening. It's not just our imaginations. It's not just our expectations being too high. And I'm not saying this stat is the end-all be-all, by the way. But I do think when you combine it with other things that Witherspoon is doing not so well, it does pretty clearly indicate that he's having struggles this year. All right. So, thought that would be fun to take a look at, try to judge things. try to look at things a little more objectively, because this is a more objective stat, right? This is not something where Pro Football Focus should be unable to evaluate this properly because Pro Football Focus is too subjective. This should be relatively objective. Even if they don't get the exact percentages right, the order should be pretty accurate to reality. So, yeah, and don't let them tell you that Riq Woolen is anything other than elite in coverage. Don't let them tell you that Tre Brown is not a good player. And don't let them tell you that Devon Witherspoon isn't having a legitimate sophomore slump. Okay, so more videos coming later. We're going to get an injury report in a few hours. I'll talk about that. But, yeah. Just waiting for some more substance. Waiting for something that I can get excited about. Tired of saying the same criticisms over and over and over again. Let's get something new. All right. See you guys later this afternoon. Everyone have a good rest of your day. And hope you enjoyed this look at another new Pro Football Focus stat.